So hello my brothers and sisters on the Dragon's Path. My name is Tim Heijen and welcome again in the Belgian forest. I adore these forests. I just want to be alone from people, alone from humans in general, because to be very honest, in my Dragon's Path, I don't like humans. I don't like people. I don't like to be around them. I just don't have a choice. I sometimes have to do this. And that reminds me of a story that I once heard. I love dragon stories as long as they don't die or get hurt. But a story that is so close to me because I want to share it with you. It was one of the Imoogi dragons. An Imoogi dragon was actually a dragon that, I'll just explain it. There is a story behind it from a boy that lives in a village a long, long time ago. But this boy was an outcast. He was unlike everyone else. He just had all the time different opinions and actually wanted to also be left alone. And that even his parents, they don't actually loved him. He was like a freak, and that is also what they said to him. This was like a freaky boy, and he had to do, every chore in the village, and he was actually abused because of this, because of being so different. This boy. I don't believe in dragons. I experience dragons. I know that they are there. And that is also what this boy had. One night on a full moon, he could see in the middle of his village a beautiful, great dragon. But nobody could see this dragon except for him. And this dragon came to him and touched him on his shoulder. And eventually, this dragon vanished, disappeared. But this touch did something to him, because on the next full moon, he had a slow transformation into a dragon. He became the dragon like his soul was. But of course, the villagers could see that, and they were very afraid, even though the dragon did not attack them or anything. But they were so afraid of him that every single time when the moon was full, he changed into a dragon, and not simply a small dragon, but he grew, and he had large teeth, large horns. Everyone was so afraid of him that eventually he was banished out of the village and into the forest, where he was actually, a small child. He could not survive, but every single time when he changed into a dragon, he could hunt, he could survive, he could eventually make the forest his home. But the longer that he stayed inside of the forest, the more frequently that the changes, the transformations began. He no longer had to wait for the full moon. That sometimes it happens, sometimes when his emotions are strong, when he's angry, when he's sad, when he's everything like this. Emotions are everything. And that is also what you have to know from the full moon. Full moon is pure energy, a pure power of energy. That is the moon and the sun combined. Without the moon, we are dead. Without the moon, it's a ball of energy that gives us as well. That is what I recommend to you. Go outside when it's full moon. The full moon is a ball of energy shining on your dragon soul. So this forest was now guarded by a dragon, and eventually he no longer transformed back into a human. He was the dragon permanently. And so this forest was feared because they know there is a dragon in it, guarding this forest like it should. And but once he was transformed, he wasn't changing his mind. His mindset was just the same thing. He was not, when he changed, a wild beast without anything that he could think about. He was not this wild animal. No, he was still like this boy was. But, he was actually very intelligent and very wise. But people didn't understand him. And that is also what they don't understand dragons as well. So the forest was permanently infested by the dragon. But not only that, he could see that he could control the weather. He could control the forest, and eventually the longer that he stayed there, the longer that he could even talk with trees. He could even become one with the forest. the more that he could stay as a dragon, the more that he was one with nature. And that is what I also want to say. The villagers that banned him away from this village is practically to his death, but he could transform into a dragon so he could survive. So he had so much darkened feelings for them, darkness, even for his own parents that abandoned him, that he could let it rain, but unstoppably raining all the time on his village until these people were drowning. You know, he wasn't stopping. He had so much darkness. And that is also what we can have. We are not white witches. Dragon witches are not white witches. We are not like forgive and forget. No, we don't forgive and forget. I have a trauma as from what people did to me. Sometimes I felt lesser than dirt for what they did to me, just simply because I was different. I was, you are not changing into a dragon witch once you are awakened. You are always a dragon witch, because, my brothers and sisters, I have to be very honest with you. You are a dragon. You are simply stuck into this human skin, and you are forced to go with them, to do everything with them. I go to this forest simply just because, let me just for a bit of alone. But of course, I am forced to be like them, amongst them. I'm forced to do this, but we should not, we don't belong really here. This boy did not belong here. He had the soul of the dragon, which was touched by another dragon, by his guardian that touched him where he should be touched. And once he had his awakening, he could really physically transform into a dragon. And sometimes this happens to us, but the dragon is no longer allowed here in a physical way. So we constantly change and transform within ourselves. Within ourselves, we are just like this Imoogi dragon, that we change it, and that we also have this large connection with nature and the elements itself. Dragons are very powerful, and this also lives inside of your dragon soul. Your soul that lives within you, lives around you. You're always protected, surrounded, and inhabited by dragon spirits. That is why I had difficulties in the beginning to call myself like a dragon. So, but because of everything, because of the human skin, I call myself a dragon witch, because I use magic, I use manipulation, I use witchcraft to let the dragon be with me. That we are always surrounded by dragons, and I constantly transform into the dragon as well, because this is not real. We actually should be like this boy, that we transform into a dragon, but what the dragon eventually is misunderstood. That is also something that happens to us. We are heavily misunderstood. We don't belong here, my brothers and sisters, but we have to adapt ourselves. We have no choice. So once we would be changing into a dragon like this boy did, life would be much more difficult, much more. So it's better actually to stay this way, to be a dragon witch and to be amongst your dragons. And that is why I don't say that the entire world have to know about the dragons. Of course not. They don't need to know, they don't need to worship, they don't need to understand about the dragon, as long as you do. The only thing that you can demand from people is that they respect you. And that is what sometimes they don't have. They don't have this for dragon witches like ourselves. We are like they said to this boy, like this freak, that is what it is, And I can say to you, I am not a white witch, not at all. I do curses. Sometimes I do curses without even knowing it, because just like this Imoogi dragon that plot his revenge on the villagers, I do things like this as well. I have this energy as well. I have this power. You have this power as well. You can do this. You can do energy like this. And knowing that we are not white witches, we are grey witches. We use everything. And there is so much darkness that we can use. We are not like love and light. And so we are not like this. Sometimes when people push us too far, you can see that you are transforming into a dragon, and that you can roar in their face, and they will feel that. They will very much feel that you can roar in their face. Not because you are becoming a wild animal, because you had enough of their crap. Because you don't want any more of their crap. They are silly humans. They are like this ape-like figures that evolved eventually, but not evolved enough for the dragon. The dragon is a wise ancient being, and humans are not at all like these wise ancient beings, like at all. I mean, look at how they bow down before Allah or Jesus or whatever. It's not evolved, unevolved. These people just are so way behind of the dragon, and you are way up beyond actually from any human or any being in this world. But you have to say that you are never alone. You are never alone. Your dragon god is here, your dragon guardian is here, and let your dragon guardian and god touch you all the time so that you can as well change into a dragon. Of course, no one will see it, but you will feel it very much, just like this boy. But once you have these dark feelings, don't let it consume you. Once you have this light, you can say, don't let it blind you. You always have to see, and you always have to learn, always have to evolve. So you are a bit like this Imoogi dragon. You are a bit like the same thing. That people push you away, push you so far away, that eventually you have to do it by yourself. That is what this world is, my brothers and sisters. But you don't have to forget that you are never alone. There are a lot of brothers and sisters like ourselves, and a lot of things that you can learn from yourself. You have great amount of power. You can do magic, you can do everything you desire. The dragon spirit is very powerful. You just need to understand it.